Business leaders are hard to find. There are very few. There are very few great leaders around. But leadership is all about who will listen to who. If they listen, you're a leader. If they don't listen, you're not a leader. Leadership is an unbelievable ability. If you have it, you're so lucky. You can learn how to be a leader, but generally speaking, leaders are born. But even born leaders can learn. They can get better. They can get a lot better. A non-leader can become, to an extent, a leader. There are sources of leadership that are inspirational. If you look at what happened with Tylenol, it's a very great example of a company that could have been taken down, but because of great leadership, that company went on to bigger and better things. It was a tremendous disaster that happened, and the company went on to really terrific things. There are numerous instances of great leaders and things that great leaders have done that would take a crisis situation and almost turn it into an asset. Many ways to learn business, and one of them is called hard knocks. You go out, you do it, you make it, you don't make it. I've known many people, they fail and they keep failing, and all of a sudden they're big success stories. There's nothing like that way to learn business. That's a hard way, and it's an unfortunate way, but there's nothing like it. It's called real life. I've learned probably more from mistakes than I have from victories. You know, when you make a mistake, it's much more indelible on your brain than when you have a victory. When you have a victory, you think everything is so easy. In fact, I went along for years having nothing but victories. And then in 1990, the market crashed, and all of a sudden I said, what did I do wrong? The fact is that you learn much more. There was an article that was written about me in one of the major business magazines. Everything he touches turns to gold. And I read it and I believed it. I said, that's true. And then all of a sudden 1990 came around and I was struggling for my life. Friends of mine were going bankrupt. They were going out of business. You'll never hear from them again. And I was, struggling like crazy, and I didn't want to do that. And I ended up pulling through. I had an expression in 1990. I had the expression. I came up with it. It became quite famous, actually. Survive till 95. I felt if I could survive till 95, I'd be successful. And I was able to survive till 95. And so many talented friends of mine were gone and, literally never to be heard from again in my business. And they were very talented people, but they could not survive. They didn't have the strength. They didn't have the stamina. Perhaps they didn't have the brain. Perhaps they didn't have the luck. But they were not able to survive for a period of 5 years in a treacherous down market. I was able to do that, and now my company is much bigger, much stronger than it ever was before. I'm a much bigger presence than I ever was before. And, I have things now that I never dreamed possible. The west side of Manhattan, all of the buildings that I have in New York, buildings in Chicago, buildings going up now in California along the ocean. I mean, I have things now that I would have never thought possible. I owed billions of dollars in 1990, billions. $1 billion of it was personally guaranteed, which is even worse. And my company is much bigger and stronger than it ever was at any time in the 80s or 90s or any other time, by a factor of 3 or 4. So, it's to a certain extent, it's really survival and learning and taking knocks and sometimes learning business the hard way. The beauty of learning it the hard way is you never forget it. If you learn it the easy way, like, oh, gee, this is a success, everything's successful, this is really easy, I'm not sure you're really learning anything, because ultimately you think it's just a very easy game to play, and it's not. The beauty of what I went through in the early 90s and the struggle that I had in the early 90s is that now I appreciate my success. Where in 1989, where I had had a decade of great success also, I didn't appreciate my success. I didn't care about my success. I thought it was very easy. I assumed it would always happen. But the beauty of what took place is that by my having a tough time in the early 90s, I now appreciate what I've done much more so than if I didn't go through that period. I'm actually glad I went through that period. I wouldn't want to do it again, but I'm glad I went through that period. To be successful in real estate, you need knowledge. And then after the knowledge, and you also, that knowledge just keeps going along. But after the knowledge, you need to get out and do what you know. There are many forms of real estate. You have residential, you have commercial, you have shopping, retail. You have so many different forms. You have to go, number one, to the right city, or right place. If you're going against a down market, you can make a lot of money in real estate if you know the market's going down. It's very similar to the stock market in that sense. You have to know your market. You have to know where the market is going. If you're buying a house or a building for $1 million and the market's going down, it's pretty tough to make money. What you have to do is wait till that market bottoms and buy. So you need instinct to be a great real estate person, in my opinion, and that instinct is just so vital. Now, if you don't feel you have good instinct, but you do have good business ability, you go out and you get the smartest, best people to help you out, whether it's consulting or whatever. But you need instinct. You want to buy on the upside, and you want to sell when you see things going down. And you have to have, at a minimum, you need the right people to tell you. But the best thing is for your own instinct, because otherwise they'd be doing it for themselves. I've made a lot of great real estate deals, and when people ask me what my best one is, I don't even know. Probably my best real estate deal is Trump Place on the West Side. But I've made so many great real estate deals, and I was helped because New York City, generally speaking, has been on an upturn. A recent deal I made was in Las Vegas. I'm building a building called Trump International Hotel and Tower. In 4 days, we sold 900 units. It's never happened before. I'm building a big building, an $800 million building in Chicago. We've already sold $600 million worth of condominium apartments right on the river at the Sun Times site, which is the best site in Chicago. And it's been a tremendous, spectacular success. But I've always said probably my favorite real estate deal is right where we are, Trump Tower. It's 57th and 5th. It's the Tiffany location. There's an expression in real estate, the Tiffany location. The reason they say the Tiffany, because Tiffany in New York is on 57th and 5th. That's the crossroads of the world, and I'm there. In fact, I bought the air rights over Tiffany to build Trump Tower. Now, I've made more money in other deals than I have in Trump Tower, but I think Trump Tower has always been my favorite real estate deal. Well, there's an expression that salespeople are born, not made. But you can say that with many things. You can say that with great athletes, with golfers, with baseball players and football players. But the fact is, you can learn how to sell, and you can become a great salesperson. I've known people that I never, ever thought would be good salespeople, and they became great salespeople. And that's something that goes against what I had been brought up with, that you're sort of born into that position. Salespeople can become really good salespeople. Now, they have to believe in their product. They have to like their customers. They have to want to succeed. They have to work hard. But a salesperson is a person that can go out and learn how to do it if you believe in your product. You know, it's very rare that you see people selling products successfully when they don't believe in what they're doing and they don't believe in their product. Oftentimes, you're sold on something both good and bad by a good salesperson. I mean, I've done deals that I shouldn't have done because somebody convinced me to do them. I've done other deals that, I mean, it's just incredible, some of the things I've done because somebody convinced me to do it. And I'm pretty hard to convince. So if I can be convinced, other people can be convinced. There's nothing like a great salesperson. I put them up with the greatest people in the world in terms of talent. The talent is amazing. And again, one wrong word in a long monologue and the sale is dead. They don't make those mistakes. A great salesperson never makes those mistakes.